Hey everybody, final thoughts time for the second series of Nano games. But before I get that, please remember this was a sponsored preview. And with that out of the way, let me just say I am so impressed by this entire project. Once again, 3 different designers coming up with 3 radically different designs, each of them constrained by the idea of you get 9 cards, 9 dice, and 9 cubes, and go, and see what you come up with. I love the idea of extreme utility with extremely limited tools. I was very impressed by the original Nano series of games. If you want to see my run through of that, you can hit that eye in the top right corner of the screen to go check out how the first 3 games work. We now have Series 2. Interestingly, there's ultimately going to be a third set of them as well, because the goal is that there will ultimately be 9 Nano games, and if you have all of them, I guess that is 81 cubes, dice, and cards that you will have spread across all of these games. And yeah, I really enjoyed the first set. I'm enjoying this set, and I think like last time, I'm going to give you a little mini countdown from my least favorite to my most favorite. First of all, I think Asteroid Miners, this one over here, is going to be the one that speaks to me the least. Although, interestingly, it's the only one that you can play multiplayer. The Clinic 9 and 12 Patrols are both solo only, whereas you can play this as a 2-player game. And I should say, I did play it with my wife, Jen, and I thought it worked very well. But honestly, I think I had more fun playing it as a solo game too. And so I'm really going to kind of think of all of these on the same level as solo games. Well, the thing is, one thing that I really do appreciate is, Asteroid Miners is a push your luck Yahtzee style game with a lot of interesting elements that go into the decision making as you're trying to figure out, right, what am I going to build my drill out of this round, and then I'm going to roll and re-roll and re-roll, and try to dig deeper and deeper and deeper. And at the end of the day, it is a race game as players are working their way down. And it's a fun, satisfying thing. But honestly, I want to say it's the lightest of them, but it's not. I definitely, that's going to be 12 Patrols, which has rules so short you could basically sum them up in one paragraph. While this actually has a surprising amount of complexity for a Yahtzee game. And we've seen lots of these Yahtzee-style approaches. I mean, obviously, King of Tokyo being the heir apparent. And, I mean, this game is probably as complex as King of Tokyo with all the special little rules. And it's a very fun, satisfying thing. I think I like it more as a solo game because if you want to roll dice, this is the one you play. Interestingly, you don't roll dice in either of the other 2 games. This is the one that's going to give you rollin'. And if you're looking for a solo experience with some very fun and interesting choices to make along the way because of the way the events will hit you in different ways at different times. And do I try to reprogram to get a different event so I can unlock different powers that are more important to me when I'm trying to re-roll? Or am I just going to upgrade and just ignore all of that because I've got access to more regular special powers? I don't need to worry about those. Is the event slow me down? I think this works. And if you're looking, this is the one to get if you're only going to get one of all 6 of the Nano games. If you want to be rolling lots of dice and rolling and do I live with that? Or do I pivot? Oh my gosh, I've now got 1 6. If I could just get 1 more 6, I've got 2 more rolls. Do I forget about trying to get this pair of 1s? Do I hold it and try it and you see which way it goes? It definitely works if that's the kind of experience you're looking for. I think it's quite nice, but I am definitely drawn more to these other ones where there's no dice rolling at all. Instead, the dice are used for other purposes. I'm going to say my second favorite. Oh, I'm really torn. I could go either way depending on the time of day, but I'm going to say my second favorite is Clinic 9. Now, this one is by far the heaviest of all the games. I mean, this is heavier. I mean, this is practically a mid-weight Euro in terms of its depth and complexity because there are so many. I mean, this is trying to squish down it's Big Brother Clinic, which is one of the heaviest games Jen and I have ever played, ever. And so bringing that down into 9 cards, 9 cubes, and 9 dice, while keeping so much of the core of what made that game so compulsive and compelling, without really sacrificing, is just absolutely brilliant. And I'm really impressed by it. One thing I will say is I might have struggled with this one a little bit more because it is the most complex. And it's interesting. Does a player aid count as a 10th card? Because this one, my prototype, I mean, you can see this is actually the roughest of them. I mean, the other ones actually look quite nice, near final art. This is still rough and ready. And the rules, I really kind of struggled with them because this game is so full of such far out concepts. I love the fact that the designer in one email, when I was asking him some questions, referred to this as Schrodinger's clinic because, the things don't exist until you actually observe them, which is to say, when you get to certain phases, you just say, well, I know I hired these nurses, and where are they? How much does it cost me for them to go from one place to another and all that? I really think it's very, very clever, but it is going to take some rewiring when we're so used to games where you say, I'll just put them on the board. No, you don't do that because they're kind of virtual, and you just keep track of them with the dice. How many nurses do I have? How many pillars I've invested in or whatever. And if I had, and that's the problem, I'm playing a prototype with some very rough, poorly translated rules, and so I struggled with this one a little bit more. I am most impressed by this one because it takes an almost Vita Lasarda level depth and complexity massive game, crunches it down to the 999, and still gives you so much of that big, heavy, crunchy game. This one is by far the heaviest. And I suspect they probably won't have to come up with a 10th card. Probably what they'll do is they'll just have the back page of the rule book. I don't actually even have a rule book for this yet. Will be a really nice at-a-glance summary of, right, how much does everything cost? What are the special powers of the 4 different types of special buildings that you can use? And, what all are the different things that we have to pay for during maintenance and all those kinds of things. One good player aid, which again, they'll probably just put on the back page of the manual, will make this thing, and then it would probably go to my number 1 spot because I really enjoyed the crunchiness of it, the surprising crunchiness of it. But in the absence of that, I'm going to have to give my doff of my cap, the number 1, to 12 Patrols. This game is freaking brilliant. And I'm kind of sad that it's basically a solo-only affair. I guess you could get 2 copies of it, and then have each player, have one player shuffle their deck, and then the other player put their same deck, and then when the dice are rolled, you could basically create a bingo situation where everybody's playing with the same basic setup, and then hey, we both make our own turns. We're both trying to build our kingdom, and we'll see who does a better job. But there's no better job. There's just winning or losing. So it is a solo game through and through. And here's the deal: if I was a Sudoku player, I would probably put those newspapers and those Sudoku books down for a while and focus on this, because this is kind of like an infinitely replayable Sudoku puzzle where at once I am actually expanding the kingdom, creating the problem, and also trying to puzzle out how to solve it at the same time that I'm creating the problem by having all these different things that demand one thing or another in one direction or another and trying to get them down in the right order. This game takes less than 10 minutes to play, and as soon as you're done, and as soon as you lose, which is my experience, you'll immediately want to go again. Just boom, 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 boom. And it is winnable. It definitely is winnable. Can be a bit of luck, but more importantly, there's a bit of strategic planning, because you need to think about, right, you know what all 9 of these cards are. You just don't know what order they're going to come in, and are you going to be prepared, for one that has to go into a spot that you weren't quite ready for? How efficient are you going to be in deploying your dice and cubes, manipulating your dice with cubes, etc., etc.? So I think all 3 games are great. You get the minors if you want lots of Yahtzee-style dice rolling and a crunchier milieu than one normally expects. You get Clinic if you want a Vita Lasarda level complexity game that is in filler form that you could finish in 20 minutes and just be mind-boggled that they pulled it off. And if you just want one of the most clever, elegant, simple, and brilliant puzzle designs you've ever seen, then that you just play by yourself and finish in 5 minutes and then try again, go for 12 Patrols. I think they all fit their niche in different ways. I'm impressed by all of them, and I continue to be impressed by the overall. As a former video game designer myself, I was in the video game industry for over 20 years. I had my name on a dozen different games, and I love the art of design, and I love seeing the art of design expressed in this format, where 3 different designers come up with 3 radically different games with the exact same components. And I can't wait to see the 3rd and final series to see what the final 3 games are of Nano. This was the 2nd series, folks. That was the preview. Thank you very much for watching. Have a very nice day. Talk to you later. So long. Bye-bye.